Good morning, everybody. I cannot count the number of times I've had somebody walk up to me and say, "Hey, man, I really have some interest in doing Sub2. What would you suggest I do to market for these types of properties?" And that is a very great question. And we've got Grant Kemp right here from CreativeCashflow.com to discuss his experiences. And what you might find is that his recommendations might be a little different than what you expected. So I'd recommend you stay in tune for this entire show because his advice is coming from probably close to 5, 6, 7, 8 years of subject to investing. So there's no better resource on the internet than Grant Kemp right now. Grant Kemp, how are you doing today?
Dude, I'm doing great, man. Other than the fact that my air conditioning unit decided to go out last night, so I may have a $11,000 bill by the end of the day. But other than that, things are going excellent. I got the AC guy out there working on it right now. If you start to see me, or if I start to sweat, it may be because it's getting hot in here. But that's not
normally hot today.
What we're talking about. What we're talking about is not the hotness of this room. We're talking about the hotness of these leads. One of the, just like Daniel, people reach out to me all the time and they're like, "Hey, how do you market for these Sub2 leads?" I've got students that ask that question a lot. Again, my name's Grant Kemp. I teach through CreativeCashflow.com. Here on Grant Teach Me Something every Wednesday. We do a partnership between Creative Cashflow and Propelio, who is just amazing with Daniel to get the stuff in front of you. And here's the confusing thing to me. Okay, so this is, as Daniel said, I've done Sub2 since about 2011, 2012. Done a bunch of deals. My name's been on over 1,500 HUDs. Almost entirely owner financed stuff. I've probably 98% of that being owner financing, whether that is Sub2 or some other strategy. There's lots of owner financing, but people will ask, "Well, how do you get these Sub2 leads?" And then I'll tell them my answer, and they're like, "Oh yeah, okay." And then they completely ignore my answer and start asking about everything else. So here's what happens. What happens is you want to know how Sub2 is marketed to, and I like that. I do too. But what happens is everybody, when they say, "Show me how to market to Sub2," what they think they're asking is, "How should I send mail? Who should I go knock on the door of?" Your avatar at that point in time is still the owner occupant, or the maybe not the owner occupant, but the owner of the house, I should say, right? Daniel, can you explain to us, everybody, what an avatar is? When I say that everybody is asking me with the intent of hearing an answer where the avatar is the owner of the property, what does that mean?
So, like, whenever you're doing marketing and you are trying to write a letter that is compelling this person to reach back out to you, you're trying to get this person to find a reason that they should work with you. You're going to go through and try and put yourself in the mindset of, who am I talking to? Like, who is this person? Why would they want to talk to me? And all of those thoughts on who the person you're talking to is, that's your avatar. So when you're going through marketing, I believe I discussed this on last week's foreclosure call when we were talking about how to stop a foreclosure. You really need to think of who you're talking to and put together the overall thought process of who this person is, and that's your avatar. So when we're talking about your avatar, that's who we're referring to.
Absolutely. And so the answer that people are expecting me to give and want me to give and will not accept unless I give is how to find that owner. And that's not wrong necessarily. Okay, that's not necessarily, when I say that's not wrong necessarily, I mean that it's not wrong in the way of, yeah, at the end of the day, somebody is deciding to sell their property and maintain holding that note in their name. Okay, at the end of the day, there is an owner that is deciding, instead of selling this for cash and cashing out, I'm going to sell this to Joe Investor and allow them to continue making payments on my behalf. But that's where the separation kind of occurs. And I struggle with this because a lot of what we do is we want to give you what you need wrapped inside of what you want. That's kind of how I define this Grant Teach Me Something stuff. A lot of times Grant Teach Me Something is, I know what investors need. I know what you need to get done to get successful, but people don't want to hear the need. They want to hear the want. They want to hear the sexy ideas and all that kind of stuff. So let's first address the want. Let's address what you actually thought you were clicking play on, which is, how do I send marketing to an owner to have them more likely to sell me their house, Sub2? And Daniel and I talked about this a little bit last week. And Daniel, I think you hit on all the points. And if you want to bring all of those up, even including the one that I was saying, actually from experience, I don't really think that one's the best mode to go to, or the best route to go down. But what are, Daniel, if you think of, and Daniel, by the way, owns Propelio.com. If you're not checking out Propelio.com and you're trying to get to be an investor, you're doing it wrong. Check out Propelio.com. Free trial and everything, 150,000 leads a month on top of a million other things. So he knows lead generation. He knows where these leads sit. He knows who to talk to. So what are going to be the most likely lists that somebody would pull to talk to an owner who's willing to not just sell for cash, but to hold their property? But to sell their property and leave the loan in their name, allowing you to buy it subject to. What would you say?
So historically, for me, I cannot argue against pre-foreclosures for subject to. Like beyond just pre-foreclosures, you got the notice of defaults, but you've also got the appointments of substitute trustee. I have personally contracted plenty of subject to, and foreclosures, by all means, have the avatar, in my opinion, of somebody that is likely motivated to allow you to take over their payment. And they've already been approached by 5, 6, 7, 8 different other investors that have all said, "Oh, I'll give you $70,000, even though you owe $100,000 for your house. It looks like we don't have a deal." And these people start really getting kind of down on their luck, thinking that there's nothing they're going to be able to do. So whenever they receive a piece of marketing from somebody that understands subject to investing, and they have a phone call with them, that often turns into a very easy conversion, because they've already been told no so many times. You're the first person to say yes, and it makes that conversion so easy. I do have some recommendations that I throw on top of that if you want to discuss them, Grant, but that right there is
I would like to discuss those. Can I pause you real quick? Because
Sure.
Here's what I want to do, guys. We've got folks watching these videos, this video live, obviously, on both Facebook and on Propelio's YouTube channel. Right here, what I'm doing, and forgive me for not looking directly at the camera on a lot of this, but I'm watching the comments. What I want to do is I want to test you guys. I want you guys to write things that you're picking up that may be items that you need to listen to. So my sales manager, his name is John. He's in charge of our sales department, which includes acquisitions and dispositions. And he's great at training, great at creating, he's done call centers and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, it's beside the point. The point is he knows kind of sales. He knows one of the things he brings up is RAS. And I don't know if this is an actual scientific name for it, or if this is somebody's branded name for it. But think about when you're in a noisy room, and say your name is Matt, right? You're in a noisy room, a noisy restaurant, and somebody barely over conversational level on the other side of the room says, "Hey, Matt, can I get this from you?" You hear that and you tune in and you turn and look, even though there's all this going on around you. That's what he calls the RAS, things that you can just pick up on even in the middle of the noise. So we want to train your RAS center. We want to train you to be listening for clues that may help you take down more deals. So as Daniel's going through this, and I'd like for you guys to comment on the items that he's already said, what are some of the things that you pick up on that you should be training your RAS to say, "Ooh, that's a good point. A sub-2 seller is probably here," because at the end of the day, you're going to pull all of those items together. You're going to look at demographic and property information, and you're going to try to find the one that has the most of those items in a single list as humanly possible. So start commenting on those. And as Daniel starts explaining some caveats, I would also like to hear and see you tell me the items that you're picking up on that as well. So please comment there. We will be paying attention to that. All right. So Daniel, you just said the appointment of substitute trustee list and quoted a couple of reasons why. What's the, you said also that you wanted to look into, or that you had a couple of caveats in there. What else would you add on?
So the biggest caveat I see to marketing to anyone, but most especially the pre-foreclosure list, is exactly what I just said. Is this person's probably already called 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different people, and they've all told them no. Well, by this time, these people start getting into the mindset of there's nothing they can do, and they're ready to be done with this. It's over with. And if you send them a postcard that looks just like every other postcard they've received, they don't really see the difference between what you're going to be able to do and what other people have been talking about. So one of the things that I include in all of my marketing, in the header of my marketing, is I can buy your house even if you owe what it's worth. Because they've already been told so many times that, you know what, we can't pay you this because we need a discount. Well, when you include in your market in very big, bold letters and you're trying to nail subject to, you should include in your marketing at the very, very front in bold letters some way that's very prominent and easily noticed. I can buy your house even if you owe what is worth. So you asked me to rattle off a list of marketing pieces that I believe work well with subject to. I consider foreclosures to be one. I consider landlords to be one as well. Like if you're going after landlords, they are already accustomed to getting monthly payments and they want that monthly revenue. Well, if you understand the conversion process of explaining how subject to works, the benefits of subject to a landlord, how they can convert from being a landlord to becoming a bank, these are some rather simple conversion processes that you can often go through. But at the end of the day, and I think Grant Kemp is going to nail in on this pretty hard, is the subject to seller is in every piece of marketing that you're going to be able to send to. Like every property that you send a letter to, there will be a subject to seller in there. And you've got to understand the conversion process, the explanation process, so that way you can pull through them. But for me personally, the two that I like the most are going to be anything dealing with pre-foreclosures and then landlords, because those two people are often in a situation where they understand what's going on and there needs to get the deal done. Is that good enough, Grant?
I love that. Yeah, no, I love that. I think that you hit on some phenomenal points here. And I am extremely disappointed in you, a watcher of this show, because I don't have any comments here. I don't have anybody telling me things that they are finding, which Daniel has said, which is like, ooh, that's a good point. That is the person that I need to be looking for. And I've written down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different items, and we don't have a single one in here. So I think that, again, I want your participation. If you don't participate, you're only hurting your own education. We want you to be walking away with some really good information. So I'm going to start pointing out some things, but I want you to point out things as well. I want you to point out what you heard Daniel say that you think is significant in the comment section below. Here's one of the most significant items that I can pull out of the entire thing. We're going to pull the biggest one first, which is they've been told no already. Okay. They've been told no already by a cash buyer ups your ability to get that thing closed exponentially. I don't know what an actual number would be to assign to that, but it's huge. That is actually the key factor of what I'm going to give you in the what you need section, right? We're starting with what you want. We're going to go to what you need. That's the key factor of the what you need section. How you actually find these sub-2 deals in volume is going to be based on the fact that they get told no by a lot of folks. And if you can find a property that has been told no, a seller that has been told no by a cash buyer, that sets up the expectation that, wow, this is going to be a tough thing to sell. Because here's what makes things difficult. And this is one of the reasons why I really encourage people time and time again. People identify me as the owner financing guy, as the sub-2 guy, but I wholesale too. I flip, I have rentals, I wholesale, like everything. If you've heard of it, I do it, with the exception of tax sales, tax foreclosures, that kind of thing. But I prefer sub-2, and that's what you... But I think that you guys need to understand that wholesaling is a very viable option too. All of these other things are very viable options as well. And you know that if a cash buyer, somebody's looking to wholesale or flip or whatever, has said no to this deal, this seller is in a situation where they're really going to be looking for an answer. They're really going to be looking for a solution. And you may be literally one of the only people in your demographic, in your MSA, in that neighborhood, who's marketing to this person who actually understands how subject to works. If you think about the niche that we are dealing with in subject to, it is very nichey. There are a ton more turning gears than there are on a wholesale deal or something of that ilk. So you have a step up above all of your competition, and you've got to be very aware of that. So finding somebody who's already been told no is going to be a massive piece of this. And again, I want you guys commenting on here, and Ika's checking these comments. She's moving them over to the Google Doc for us so that we can check up on those things. The next thing that I heard that Daniel said that I'm going to call out that somebody should have written is you have to, in your marketing piece, if you're going to be sending direct marketing, you have to differentiate yourself. You have to be something that everybody else is not. We have a lot of Me Too marketing out there. And the problem with Me Too marketing is that, and I'm not talking about Me Too hashtag, I'm talking about Me Too marketing, and I see this guy market this way, therefore I'm going to market that way. And I want to kind of take an aside note to you guys and give you a lesson that matters for the marketing that you are sending, but is also going to be applicable to a lot of areas in your business, okay? Be very careful of who you follow. You need to follow people. You need to look at other people who have been successful in the area that you want to be successful in and follow them, but you have to be very careful that this is somebody who you can actually trust their numbers and look at their situation and figure out where it's going. So here's an example. If you are following, I log into Facebook and I see, and raise your hand too, I would like a digital hand raise or an amen or, you know, emoji or whatever. Does your Facebook feed look like this? Okay. When you log in, do you see a ton of posts of people like taking a picture of them like tying their shoe at 5 a.m. and being like getting ready to hustle today, and like seeing a video of them being like, I'm door knocking today, and you know, oh, we're sending out letters, or oh, we're talking on the phone? Is that what your Facebook feed is filled with? Okay. So we as humans, as tribal people, want to follow, and we're like, man, that's awesome. But you know what that's doing is that's glorifying an action and not glorifying a result. Where's all the posts of people saying, hey, I'm just leaving my title company today? Where's all the posts of people saying, hey, I just sold another property today? Hey, here's my HUD from those posts are pretty much non-existent. So we've glorified an action over a result. And now if you're following that, if you're saying, this is what I need to do to have success because I view X person on Facebook as being successful because look at how often they're knocking on doors and getting letters out and all blah, 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 blah. Their campaigns might suck. And if you follow that, you're not going to get the results you want. So similarly in marketing, everybody gets these postcards that are like, we close fast, we close in 7 days, we do this, we do that. And so there's this Me Too marketing aspect where everybody's like, well, that's what all the marketing is going out as, therefore it must work, therefore I'm going to use it. But the odd part of that is we kind of become this echo chamber where everybody's sending out the same marketing piece with no regard as to whether or not the copy that's on that piece actually works. It's just because everybody's doing it, so they assume it works. So you need to be very discerning for who you follow and what you follow. When I follow somebody, I follow a Daniel Moore, I follow a Mitch Stephen, an Eddie Speed, a Mike Powell, these guys that I know if I asked them how much money was in their bank account, they would be happy to log in and be like, look, bro, this is what I've got here, and these are the expenses that we're hitting, and this is how I handle getting this thing fixed, right? Like that's the level of trust that I have with those guys. Therefore, if they tell me, dude, this marketing piece is killing it for me, I know this marketing piece is killing it, right? So don't listen to too much stuff from Facebook facts. I'll hear, oh, due on sale clause is getting called. And I kind of brush that off because I've seen how people do Sub2 and they freaking suck at it usually. And so I'm not going to value the opinion of somebody who I don't really know how it was done or what's going on. So similarly, Daniel differentiated himself in a very smart way. And it's actually very similar to what we do or did whenever, you know, I was marketing primarily and only for Sub2. This is before I learned the value of knowing multiple strategies and getting those things done, is having something in there that differentiates you from everybody else. Now, his thing that he said is, I can buy your house even if you owe or you don't have any equity or you owe more than it's worth or whatever. The piece that I put in there, that was a very similar phrase that I'll give you now. I always held on to this because I was using it in my marketing. I didn't want everybody to say it, but getting into the what you need portion, you'll see why I'm not really doing this anymore, is because I'm not sending marketing. Just to give you a spoiler alert, I don't send marketing for just Sub2 deals, but we'll get there. But if you are sending for just Sub2, this is the what you want portion. I would always put, we buy houses at full price. Now, full price is somewhat subjective, but it differentiates you from all the people who say, I'll close in 7 days, because I'll close in 7 days. What does that imply, Daniel?
100% have to admit that I got distracted. So excuse me.
I see you responding to people on here.
Yeah.
So the question is, and thank you for getting in there and responding to comments and stuff. The question that I asked is, we're talking about the differentiator, how you said, hey, you can buy your house even if they owe more than it's worth or what it's worth. And my version of that was, I would always say, we buy houses at full price, even though that's subjective, it still differentiates us out from we buy houses in 7 days. What is an implication if you get a postcard that says, I will buy your house in 7 days, what does that imply about that offer?
That you're going to be able to close with cash. I'm not.
You're going to be able to close with cash. What about the amount of the offer? What does that imply?
That you're looking for a discount?
Yeah. A 7-day close is a pawn shop close. That's pawn shop marketing, is what I've started calling it. I get
what you're saying now.
And I think that consumers are starting to understand that to a certain degree. And if you need pawn shop sellers, you need pawn shops make a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. But my operation, we differentiate ourselves as we can give full price and we're in no super huge rush. Remember last week when we talked about how that phone call goes and my portion of the phone call where we talked about their closing time frame said, so are you looking to close in 30 days, 90 days, longer? I'm not even giving 7 days as an option because we are a premier outfit. You are lucky that we called you because we do things well and we run like a business. You're not talking to a pawn shop. I don't want a motivated seller. I want a reasonable seller. So we can separate from all the other Me Too marketers that say we close in 7 days, we pay all closing costs, blah, blah, blah. There's a bullet list item like this with copy on top, copy on bottom, maybe a hand printed signature looking thing. That's Me Too marketing. Just because somebody else is doing it doesn't make it right. So, but hopefully you guys have been with Grant Teach Me Something long enough. You know you can trust Daniel. You know you can trust Grant. I'll tell you when we suck at things because I suck at things. This is not one of them. We're really good at this, right? And so saying I buy at full price, it was important. Now, when you're sending direct mail, one of the most important questions that you can ask when you're testing a campaign, not primarily, but particularly when you're testing new campaigns, anytime somebody calls you, get their phase one information, stage one stuff, but also work into your script to ask, what made you decide to call me instead of the other 17,000 postcards on your oven or on your stove, right? It's a little bit jokey. It acknowledges that they're probably getting hit by a bunch of people. And they may say, oh, I actually didn't get 17,000 postcards. And then you have a great opportunity to be like, wow, I'm really surprised because I love your neighborhood. And I just figured that, there would be enough smart investors in the area to know that your neighborhood is really good. Again, on the phone, on first conversation, I'm very complimentary of the neighborhood, not of their house. I discourage you from saying, I was driving by your house. I really want your house because it gives them the power. And then it's like, if you don't buy that house, you're distraught. I don't care about the house. I care about buying a house in that neighborhood. So if you want to play hardball, that's fine. I'll call one of your neighbors and give them all my money instead, right? So I'm surprised there's nobody else that sent you anything because I love this neighborhood. I can't wait to move in. And I figured there'd be enough smart people in the area who would have found you. So let's get going. Or they will tell you the piece of your marketing that mattered most to them. And when I would ask that question, 90+% of the time, the answer was, well, your piece said that you were able to buy my house at full price. That's why they called. Therefore, that phrase went into every piece of my marketing from that point on. Okay. So great things that Daniel talked about. So now those are principles of the marketing. You talk about the actual lead lists. Pre-foreclosures are awesome because they're facing a hard spot. Appointment of substitute trustee, pre-foreclosure, you're going to have to come to the table with money to catch them up. However, when you're looking at why somebody would not say yes to Sub2, they would not say yes to Sub. What are some reasons why somebody would say no to Sub2? Daniel, list me off some reasons why somebody would say no to Sub2.
Some very common ones are, oh, the loan's going to stay in my name. I don't know you. That makes me nervous. How do I know that you're going to make the payments? Other ones will be, okay, what's the due on sale clause? What are some other objections to subject to? Those are the big ones that I see all the time where I need more money in my pocket. It's like, oh, okay, you can buy at full value, but I still want $5, $10, $15, $20, $50, $150,000 for you to do this subject to. Those are common ones that I see. Are there some other ones that I'm missing out on there?
Well, the only other one you hit the nail on the head on all of those things. The other one that I would like to draw to everybody's attention is options. Okay. When sellers have lots of options, they've got, 10 wholesalers that have offered them, maybe they owe 70. They've got 10 wholesalers that have offered them $90,000 or, $75,000. They're going to walk away with $5,000 and they're going to not have a loan in their name. And here you are trying to give them $5,000 and keep the loan in their name. Well, they're going to take the option where they get $5,000 and don't have their name on the loan. So that option can be one of the big motivators to why a seller might not want to work with you, which is, again, what points back to the biggest one I was talking about, which they've already been told no. But secondly, when we talk about pre-foreclosures, many times what you're looking at is a situation where maybe they've been told no, maybe they haven't, but now the options that they have are either I lose my house in a few weeks and I've got a foreclosure on my record, or I keep this loan in my name and I don't have a foreclosure on my record and I get to stay in the house for a few weeks more while I'm trying to get my stuff together. See, at that point in time, comparatively, Sub2 sounds way better. Whereas comparatively to a cash offer where they're walking away with the same amount in their pocket, Sub2 is going to sound way worse. So that's why when we're in this pre-foreclosure list, appointment of substitute trustee, if you're in Texas, like a 21-day notice, that kind of stuff, the other option is way worse for them. So you're offering them a great way out, and you're offering this to people who likely would have been told no by another investor. Even if they could, or they had enough equity to buy or to sell with cash, you're going to be able to offer them way more, regardless, because of the financed offer. So I'm going to give you one more script item to work in before we walk into the what you need portion. Actually, I want to push it over to Daniel, see if he's got some input before we walk into the what you need portion. But the other script that I want to hand to you, I forgot whenever I just said I was going to push it over to Daniel. Gosh darn it. Pre-foreclosures, they've got other options. Whoa. So when you're talking to them and you start talking about numbers, a great way to lead the conversation into an owner-financed offer is they're going to say, well, what can you offer me, or something of the like, right? You're going to start having a conversation over the phone about the price that you're able to offer them. And in response, what I want you to tell them is I want you to say, well, look, I can give you cash and I can have cash in your pocket in the next week or so, just like everybody else, all the other jokers that sent a postcard to you, as long as, we've already established they got it. All those other jokers, that's easy. I can put cash in your pocket. That's not a big deal. Okay. Because we want to establish you're not asking for owner financing because you're a broke joke that has no other way of buying their house. We have to understand, again, when we talk about negotiations, how do they view this situation? They've got a guy coming to them talking about buying their house who is trying everything he can to not put a single dollar out of his back pocket, which if we do a never split the difference, what's the accusation audit? Thank you. As I think my own brain. If we do the accusation audit from never split the difference, well, what are they going to think? If you are trying everything in your power to not hand a dollar over, what's one of the negative things that person might think about you, Daniel?
You're being greedy, that you're not really caring about their current needs. All you're doing is looking out for yourself, and that you're not really there to help them. You're there to take advantage of them.
And they also will probably feel like, hey, maybe this guy's a broke joke. Maybe this guy does not have money and he has to buy it this way, which if they're going to try and sell to somebody who's promising to continue paying this mortgage on their behalf for 20 plus years, you don't want to sell it to somebody who's just as broke as you are, because you're going to end up foreclosed on again, right? So we start the transition with, look, I can give you cash just like every other joker. That's easy, right? Anybody can do that. I can have cash in your pocket, but I want to let you know that the way that I make money in real estate is I own and finance it. And this is particularly for somebody who has equity. By the way, I didn't really establish that. If they have enough equity to accept a cash offer. And if you're willing to accept your equity in installments, I'll be able to pay you way more than any cash offer is going to be able to come in at. And I just want to clarify, this is how I make money. This isn't a do as I say, not as I do. Like, no matter how I buy your house, my goal is going to be to turn around and take my payments and installments from somebody else, from somebody who's going to buy it from me, because that's where you make the most money in real estate. So all I'm trying to do is offer you the same luxury that I have. And fortunately for you, you worked hard enough to have equity in your house. So if you're willing to take your equity in installments, I can get you way more. If you just need cash and you want to be done with it, that's no problem. I'll get cash in your pocket in this next few weeks. So what do you want to do? Well, now you've piqued their interest. And of course, they're going to ask, well, what does taking equity in installments mean? And boom, now they have asked you to talk to them about doing a sub-2 offer with possibly a second lien for their equity, which is a great position for you. I would encourage you, if you want to know more about that topic, go to propelio.com/academy. Log in. All it takes is an email. It's free. It's ridiculous how much information is behind there, by the way. If you haven't checked out the Academy, comment here if you've checked out the Academy. I want to see who my Academy folks are inside of this thread. But comment if you've gone to the Academy and one of the lessons from whoever, whichever, say the name of whoever you learned from that you're like, dude, that was a freaking solid lesson. I'd like to know about that or something you learned from it. But go there, check that out. Look at my module for owner financing and view the video called backing into the deal and knowns and unknowns. Those two kind of go together. Some people think of it better as a knowns and unknowns. Some people look at it better at backing into the deal. That will tell you how to create an offer where you're doing sub-2 and offering a second lien to them for their equity rather than having to come out of pocket with money. It's a great transition for you. So now that I've told you kind of how to find these people. Oh, and again, he said the landlord. I love the landlord for owner financed offers because of exactly what Daniel said. They're used to monthly payments. They're used to not having a large sum of cash. So not only are they used to monthly payments, but they're also used to getting monthly payments and having to pay for expenses out of that. Whereas an owner financed offer to them is going to be monthly payments that is a net income for them. So that is another great list. To talk about a couple of people. So Ryan Sovereigns commented he really likes the header that Daniel used for his mailers. I do too. I think it's a great thing. The Ryan Sovereign saying that sub-2s are in every market. That's another, I'm glad you pointed that out. They're in every market, and more than that, they are in every marketing piece you've been sending. Who here, comment again on this too, and Daniel, have you ever had this happen where it's like you're looking at a new vehicle and then you kind of decide like, man, I really want a gray Silverado. And then all of a sudden, all you see on the road is gray Silverados. You're like, holy crap, I did not realize how many gray Silverados there were out here, right? All of a sudden, you see it constantly. It's that Raz has been tuned to it. That's where sub-2 is with your current marketing. Everybody wants to know, where do I find sub-2 deals? And my response is really in the marketing you're already doing. And everybody's, yeah. But if I want to market for sub-2, where do I market? In every list that you're just not looking for it. Once you see the thing that you want and you tune your Raz to listen to these items, you're going to see them everywhere. So that's a great part there. Mark pointed out that Daniel said, I love that there's a mindset of the person with low equity. That is very, very true. The go-getter making fun of, rise and grind, making fun of them. So all, again, I appreciate that you guys are doing this. Sammy Prieto really likes that the neighborhood instead of the house tip. I think that's awesome. So Arthur brought up a good one. I don't want to sell sub-2 because I spoke to a realtor and they said it was illegal. That one drives me crazy. His anger emoji is the right emoji for that one. That is so dumb. I hate that one because it's wrong and it's just lazy. It's just realtors who don't want to learn. So anyway, Daniel, is there anything that you want to point out from this segment before we move into the next segment, which is where do they get what, we did what do you want? Here's what you need that everybody ignores me when I say it.
No, but I'm going to jump on the trend of kind of pointing out the things that are key takeaways for us. And the key takeaway I had from the conversation you just had was the correlation to the gray Silverado. And I think that is a great way that you expressed the overall point to what we're trying to get through this first half of this conversation, and that is the sub-2 deals are already in all the marketing that you're doing. If you're doing marketing, there are sub-2 deals there. And the reason that you're not noticing them is because you're not looking for them. Once you start training your mindset to say, oh, okay, you know what? There's sub-2 deals in all of my marketing. I just need to learn how to convert them and or attract them. Making some key little differentiators in your marketing, like talking about the headlines that are expressing your ability to pay full price for a house. I had close to 76, 77 cars driving around Dallas-Fort Worth that had a big sticker on the back window that says, get full price for your house. Those types of marketing will bring in sub-2 sellers as well as equity sellers, people that have the equity to discounts to give to you. But I really like that key takeaway that you had of essentially, once you start looking for it, you're going to find it. So if you're looking specifically for sub-2 deals, you're going to find that in the marketing that you're already sending out because they're already out there. But some of the key things that I liked were pre-foreclosures and absentee landlords for sub-2.
Absolutely. And so here's the secret. Here's the big secret. And first of all, thanks to OV and Veronica and Jaime and Ryan and Don and Mark and Angel and Sammy, who've all been in the academy. I'm glad that you like it and you're getting good value out of that. But here's the real key to success in sub-2 marketing, right? Is change your avatar. Okay? Change your avatar. And I think I'm starting to phrase this in such a way that people are actually listening to me now. And I hope so. Because what I just said earlier and what Daniel pointed out, Sub2 deals are in every marketing piece. They're there. Unless you are talking to and buying with cash every seller that you talk to who would like to sell their property, then you have not taken advantage of all of the people, not taken advantage of, but like fully realized all of the people that are in your marketing piece that would sell to you. So there's two options. Either you adjust your marketing campaign to only hit the people that want to sell with Sub2, which is the question that people ask that they want the answer to. My operation does not operate that way. My operation, every deal we do, almost every deal we do is a wholesaleable deal. So I either wholesale it or wholetail it, or I don't do flips right now. I don't think it's the right market for it, or I'll buy it, I'll take it down with cash and then owner finance it with our exit. Or if we can't come to an agreement on price, then owner financing is really their only option, and we still have a way to get to it. So if you have a way to buy every property at every price, now my marketing campaign is being fed by, and my price per close is being lowered by, being able to close on every deal that could possibly get closed on. If I'm only targeted for one strategy, Sub2, it's just as bad as if I'm marketing for wholesale deals and don't know how to Sub2. I think it is just as bad to market for Sub2 deals ignoring wholesale. What you want is you want motivated and reasonable sellers, and then you find the option that works best for them. And that's why our cost per close, even with, I think I've got, at this point, I think I've got somewhere between 12 and 15 employees. With all of that, my cost per close is under $2,000 worth of marketing. Usually with the larger operations, it's going to be $3,500 to $4,000. A solopreneur can usually get it down to about $2,500. We're in the $1,800 to $1,950 mark on cost per close because we can close on every deal that has a seller that wants to sell. So that's really what I suggest is market to, if you're going to do direct marketing, which I like, market directly to wholesaleable deals, and then Sub2 and owner finance the things where you know that they can't do it or they're unwilling to do it at the price that you need because they're telling you no. So now there's a no there, and so you can move into the next strategy. But the real magic comes from the JV. The real key takeaway, the real answer that I always try to tell people that nobody wants to listen to me on is your avatar is not the owner. Your avatar is all the other joker wholesalers that have no clue how to take down a property with owner financing. Okay. Does a light bulb go off for you when I say that? Does that make sense? I want to see you comment if you have like an aha moment, comment aha, give me some kind of, your avatar is not the owner occupant. Your avatar is all the other joker cash buyers and wholesalers that do not know how to take down deals with owner financing. Because remember when I said the most important thing that Daniel pulled out for who's going to be most likely to say yes to owner financing was somebody who's been told no already? Well, if you're marketing to the wholesalers and the cash buyers and telling them, hey, what are you doing with the deals where the person owes too much or where they're unwilling to sell to you at the price that you need to buy it? What are you doing with those deals? Well, their answer is going to be something along the lines of throwing it away. So you're going to respond back to them with something along the lines of, well, that's actually the deal that I specialize in. I do seller financing in Sub2. I've got that down. How about this? Next time you run into a property where the person is unable to sell to you for the price that you want, give me a shout. Let me take a crack at it. And if I'm able to take it down with Sub2 and owner finance it, you'll get paid out of the profits for that deal. And here's the key phrase that I want you to script for yourselves as you talk about this. Here's the key phrase. That way you're paying for your marketing campaigns out of your trash can. You see, this was a trash lead for them anyway. They've already said no. All the wholesalers are very used to, hey, we just weren't able to come to an agreement. Oh, they owed too much. We just weren't able to do it. On to the next one. Oh, well, I needed it for 70. They would not come down below 85. So I got to move on to the next one. Whereas you can come to, or whatever, they wanted 85. I can't go up from 70. I think I said that wrong. Whereas you can go to that person and say, okay, you want 85. What's the cash need that you need right now? Okay, you need $5,000 right now. You're just unwilling to sell your house unless it says 85 on that piece of paper. So how about we buy it for 85? We leave the loan in your name. I give you a $20,000 second lien and then I give you $5,000 at cash at closing. That is gold, because now you're not even paying for marketing anymore. You see, this is how I built my portfolio. This is how I became wealthy. I went from literally a cashed out IRA check. I'm sorry, a cashed out 401k check when I quit my day job of $5,000 or $6,000 or whatever it was. It was, I have it because I was doing my taxes, $4,154.57. That's what I had in my bank account when I quit my job. That's all I had. That was all the money in the world to me. So yeah, I was the broke guy who could not bring cash. So I had to figure out the owner financing stuff by doing the JV model and working with other people who were paying for their marketing campaigns and having to say no to people because they did not have the time or energy or intellect or efforts to figure out Sub2. I just worked with those people, closed their deals that they were unable to close, paid them a commission. They loved it. It's not a commission, but paid them for it. You know, they're wholesalers anyway. They want cash. I also offer participation in the long-term cash flow of the deal. And it's a deal that they were throwing away. It makes no difference to them. So now they might get $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 on a deal that they were throwing away in the first place that they were super ready to throw away. And you get 40, 50 of those people out there looking for you. Guys, I'm telling you, each JV partner is worth about 2 deals to you, average. You'll have some that bring you 1. You'll have some that bring you 5. You'll have some that go more. We have a break at 5. Once we've done 5 deals together, then the split becomes more significant for the JV partner, blah, 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 blah. You find ways to incentivize them. Now, though, you are trading rather than money on marketing. You're trading your time to work with this JV partner. But they've said no. So we know we know the seller has been told no because they said no. So they're going to say, I'm sorry. And this is coach your JV partners into saying this. You want them to say, I'm sorry. I am not going to be able to buy this house for that price. It's just unreasonable for a cash buyer. Nobody in name your city here is going to be able to buy your house for cash. However, I'm a pretty well-connected dude. And I know just the right guy to talk to in this area. Very few people are smart enough or know these other strategies. Everybody and their dog is doing what I'm doing, trying to buy for cash and make a little bit on a flip. But I know this guy named Mark Wolf who is going to be able to help you out. So how about this? Can I give him your phone number, have him reach out to you tonight or tomorrow, and then see if y'all can work something out? Because like I said, nobody on that stove over there is going to be able to help you out with this. But Mark should be able to. Okay, you coach him into that. There's lots of psychology as to why I have them say that thing, but the core of it is you want a good referral coming to you. So you coach your JV partner to give you a good referral to your seller. To also say, hey, look, I can't do this deal and nobody else in the market will likely be able to do it. I know how people buy houses. I buy houses. It's not going to work for cash, but then you get to allow the JV partner to compliment themselves and say, but I'm a really well-connected guy. I've been around and I know this guy, Mark, who handles deals just like this. And he's going to take great care of you. He's going to be the guy who can get this done. If anybody can, it's going to be him. Can I get you guys connected? And then you get to call the seller and take that deal down Sub2 and cut out a portion of that deal to your JV partner. You didn't pay any money and you've got somebody who is consistently, some of these JV partners are going to bring you, like I said, 5, 10 deals plus maybe, which is amazing because now you've put effort into one relationship that yields many houses, whereas you put effort into one direct mail campaign that yields many houses, but each seller that you have is one seller, right? And if you send out that marketing and you paid for that marketing and it doesn't yield anything for you, well, now you're out $6,000 and that stinks. So I built my wealth. I went from having $4,000 in the bank to being a millionaire in 5 years. I was a millionaire by the age of 30 by innovating a little bit and saying, look, hold on, I can buy houses that nobody else can. There's a lot of other people trying to buy houses. Why don't I talk to them and see what they're doing with their trash and close it and split them out a portion of that deal? So you know what I would do? So I would drive around Y'all drive for dollars? I drove for dollars. But you know what my driving for dollars looked like? My driving for dollars looked like any time that I was driving someplace and I saw a bandit sign saying, sell your house, call this number, I'd call the number. And I'd say, hey, my name's Grant. I'm not a house seller, but I really like buying houses around here. And I can buy houses that have little to no equity. I can buy houses where the seller wants way too much for the property. So what are you doing right now if you're making your cash offer and they're unwilling to come down for you? What are you doing with that lead? They say trash. You give them the pitch. You say, now you pay for your marketing campaign out of your trash can. Now you've got a lead source that keeps coming back. You treat them right. You take care of them. You have a good relationship, and you've got a recurring revenue stream, right? We talk about passive income through cash flow on properties. Why not talk about passive income through great relationships that bring you money? That's a great way to do that. So I say this, people are like, how do I market? I say social marketing, working with other people in the industry, seeing, if you can do deals with, and then everybody's like, oh, okay, so if I'm going to do a cold calling campaign, what list would I pull from? And I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like I just told you, listen to me, please. Right. So there you have it. Right. There are some lists that you can pull. There are some direct mail pieces that would work. I then told you how I do it with direct mail. I don't market just for Sub2. I market for wholesalable deals. And then I take down my own non-wholesalable deals as Sub2 and owner financing, and I convert better out of my marketing campaign. And then we also focus on the JV partnership. We just ran our numbers last week. Right now, I'm at an exact, which is crazy, 65-35 split. 65% of my deals come from direct marketing. 35% of my deals come from JV relationships. So to help you into that next segment, to figure out what you might be able to do to really foster that relationship, what I'd like you to do is, I'm not asking for your deal, but I do want you to go to my JV portal and just put test into either the first name or the last name, because my team knows if test comes in, because what this does, when you fill out this web form, it goes directly into my system and my team calls back within 24 hours, usually within a couple hours. We'll call you back and start that JV process and start trying to buy the house. So this just lets them know this isn't a real lead. You don't need to get on it. You don't need to, but go to creativecashflow.com/JV with me. Ika, if you would drop that in the comments for us, I'd really appreciate that. But creativecashflow.com/JV with me. And fill it out and put test in one of those names. Those are the questions that I ask my JV partners so that I can do a better JV deal. And I want you guys to pay attention to that. As somebody who's done JV since 2013 was about when I came up with this strategy, and it really blew us up. I've learned a lot about how to JV, and you got to know those pieces of information that are on that, or else you're not going to be a good service to them or the seller or anything like that. But this is hands down the best way, in my opinion, especially when we're going into a market like what we're going into, where cash deals just aren't. Remember when we talked about options? For the last 4 years, sellers have had a million options because they've got so much equity. They've got 16 wholesale offers. It made it hard. That's not going to be the case so much anymore, but there's still a trillion wholesalers trying to make the same offer, and they are late to the punch. You are early. You understand that owner financing is important. So start now. Start marketing to those guys and letting them know, hey, when you start seeing deals, even if you're seeing them right now, but you're probably going to start seeing more that can't do it with you, we can work together and get this thing done and get you paid. So there you have it. That is my full 360 view of how to do marketing for Sub2 specifically. Daniel, do you have any kind of takeaways or things you want to pull out from there?
I want to throw some emphasis on this because I find it to be important. Your goal is to go out there and cultivate these leads. What are these leads? These leads are other investors that cannot close on a low equity deal. That is your lead source. So I want to make sure that is clearly defined. Now, that lead source is someone that's pumping out, between all of your networked connections that you've made, pumping out 150, 200,000 marketing calls or direct mail pieces a month. This is now your lead source. That taken into consideration, you really need to cultivate that relationship. It's not just hey, go into a REIA meeting, hey, hand out as many business cards as you can saying I buy low equity houses and then disappearing. That is not a cultivated relationship. You need to date these people. You need to be actively pursuing them. And what do I mean that? Like, okay, if you do go to that REIA, instead of just running around and handing out all your business cards, try your best to collect meaningful information from every one of them. Most importantly, their cell phone number. And then from there, it's not just Wednesday night, I caught them at the happy hour mixer of the real estate investor thing. They've already got 15 beers in them and they're probably acting the way they shouldn't be. That's not the time to talk to them, but you got their phone number now. Now, at the end of a month, if you go to 5 REIA meetings a week, 6 REIA meetings a week, 7 of them a week, every single week you should be collecting at least 50 to 100 new phone numbers, at least. You're going to see a lot of repeat people that you see all the time, but let's say you're getting at least 100 new phone calls a week. That's 400 new phone calls a month. Drop all of them into a spreadsheet. Now, how are you going to market to these people? The same way that you market to your motivated sellers or the people you're calling from. Call them up and just say, hey, I talked to you last week and I was just touching base with you, wanted to round back with you. I wanted to remind you, I can buy these leads out of your trash, get you paid so you can recoup some of your marketing costs. Have you came across anything this week that sounds familiar? Oh, no? Okay, let me touch base with you again in a couple of weeks. And you need to do weekly follow-ups with them, monthly follow-ups with them, bi-weekly follow-ups with them, because you know what? Some of these people you meet at REIAs aren't doing 100 deals a month. Some of these people may have never done a deal yet. Some of these people haven't even started their marketing yet. But you know what? 4 months from now, when they do send out their first campaign, if you haven't talked to them in 4 months, guess who they're not thinking about? They're not thinking about you. So if you are consistently reaching back out to them and reminding them that you're available, you can help close deals, not just low equity deals, like especially if you do have a newer real estate investor that's not getting deals closed, well, you can JV with them on an equity deal. So this helps you in several different ways, but constantly reach out to them and remind them who you are, what you can do to help them, and how you can help them get paid. So that way you are always top of mind. And when it does come time to get a deal closed, they're thinking of you and not someone else.
I love that. That is gold information. I could pick apart everything you said and talk about it for another 2 hours. That was everything you said is exactly right. You have to treat this like your leads list, and you follow up, and you treat them right, and you date them, and you pursue them, and you show them why you're valuable to them. This is a let me help you kind of piece. Mark asked a question along those lines. I've talked to some wholesalers that don't know how to do Sub2, but they're really hesitant to give me their trash leads. Can you talk more about these conversations? And yeah, let's finish up with that, okay? So I think that's a great way to end this out, because it is a great observation. Here's the thing, is that if you're getting started in Sub2, and this is just a general rule, like just be honest about stuff, right, guys? Like I harp on this a lot, because one of our core values is based around ethics and honesty, that we're going to do the right thing, especially when it's not in our favor. That's actually the core value, those words. And I encourage you to steal that. We're going to do the right thing, especially when it's not in our favor. That wording is very important. So you have to show them that you're going to take care of them. A lot of people, again, do the accusation. You should do this accusation audit. Remember all of the stuff, all of the tools that we talk about on sending out marketing, how to create an avatar, doing a accusation audit, all of that stuff applies here. See, people just for whatever reason put it out of their mind, and they say, yeah, I'm going to do all this work for an avatar if I'm going to a homeowner, but I know who wholesalers are. I'm not going to do any work with that. I'm just going to talk to some people. Well, that's not a good marketing campaign. You figure out what these people want, what they need you for, what is your differentiator, how are you going to present yourself to them, those kinds of things, and treat it like a marketing campaign. Also, same thing with private capital. If you're looking for private money, you've got to figure out who your avatar is, all that kind of stuff. Speaking of which, I've got a couple of deals this week that we need to get funded. We're doing a bunch of, by the end of the year, we'll probably be doing 18 to 20 deals a month. So if you've got capital sitting in an IRA, you've got capital sitting in a 401k that you would like to have backed by real estate instead of the stock market, reach out to me, let me know, DM me, something like that, and we'll get you plugged in. But same thing. You have to treat marketing like marketing. You have to treat negotiations like negotiations. It doesn't matter who you're talking to, if it's a wholesaler or an owner or a lender or whoever, right? So I think that's a great thing to pull away from that. The other thing that I would give you suggestion on, Mark, which again, that's a great question, is when you're in this, the whole thing of me saying being honest and ethical is like, just tell them where you're at. Like, don't act like you're the second coming of, whatever, Sub2 and idol that you want to say. Like, Like if you don't know, like if you're just getting started on it, just tell them, hey, I'm actually really focused. I know you're focused on the cash deals. I'm really focused on the owner financing stuff. Maybe we work together because I can convert the leads that are trash for you so that you can keep focusing on the stuff that's really making you your highest margins. And then I'll convert stuff for you and I'll get it done. And if we get it going, then you'll get a split. And maybe you got to split out a little bit more because you don't have the experience to leverage with them. So I've always done this in every business I've ever created. And I've created multiple businesses that all went on to make tons of money, one of which I was able to sell. At the beginning, you make too little and you work too hard because you've got to establish social proof. You've got to establish that this works. So pay them a little bit more of a cut than you need to, maybe. Because if you're competing between the two of us and it's, hey, either JV with Grant for 20% or JV with me for 20%, and I've had my name on 1,500 HUDs and you're trying to get your first deal, well, obviously they're going to work with me. But if it's JV with Grant for 20%, yeah, he's a premier outfit, but it's 20%. I know it's going to get done, but it's 20%. This guy over here is going to do it and give me 50%. And it's not as sure of a bet, but if it works, I get 50. Like that's a differentiator, right? So maybe you give them a little bit more of a cut depending on your experience level. I would also really recommend that as you're getting started in this, you don't go talk to whoever the biggest wholesaler is in your area. Don't do that until you've got a lot of this stuff under your belt. Who you need is somebody who's done fewer than 10 or 15 wholesale deals in their career total and is actively marketing. Maybe I shouldn't say 15, maybe 20 or so. It should be your first avatar because that person doesn't have every single aspect of their business systemized out to a T yet. Somebody who's done hundreds and hundreds of deals knows exactly which stage of the process goes into this portion of their CRM, which moves then here, which contacts this person, which does this, and then they need to do that, blah, 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 blah. So you're asking them to recreate a system and fit you into it, and you're not a sure bet yet. So you're going to get a no from that. However, if you're working with somebody who's working on their first several deals, they're still trying to figure out how they're going to retain and get their money back from these marketing campaigns. So they're super happy with like, oh gosh, yeah, please, if you can convert this, that'd be awesome because I can't convert it. Here's my lead. I'm going to keep going on with that. So that's really who you want to work with at the beginning. Once you've got social proof, once you've got a tribe that you can point to success and saying, I did this with this person, this person, this person, it worked. They were super happy with me. Then you start working with people who've done 50 or 60 a year. Then you start working with people who've done hundreds of deals, right? That's where you get your super repeat business for the JV process. So great question. And I hope that answered it. So that's it from me for the actual lesson. Daniel, I pass it over to you if you want to pull something out from there, and then you can kind of start landing the plane with your spiel. I'll land the plane with mine, and then we'll call it a day and see everybody next week. How about that?
I think that's great. I've had a great show today. I've enjoyed it. I really believe that for those that watched it from beginning to end will walk away from this with an advantage over those that are in their market that don't understand what we just spoke on today. So I'm glad that y'all got this. I'm glad that y'all are going to go out there and become rock stars in your local MSA. All of that taken into consideration for those that are watching and looking for lead sources. Please check out Propelio.com, an excellent resource, 150,000 leads a month from multiple different types, high equity, low equity, no equity, unknown equity, absentee landlords out of state, absentee landlords out of country. You've got all different types of lists that you can pull out of Propelio.com. You've also got access to true MLS comps nationwide. You've got access to a Driving for Dollars app called Propelio Mobile that's also included in the subscription, where you can go out and drive for dollars, tag properties, see the property owner's information, send out direct mail, send out skip trace and cold call, all from the app. And then you can also come back through and create professional websites for your real estate investing business. If you have no tech experience, don't worry. This is simple. It normally takes about 8 minutes to get your website started. So if you're still out there using Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, or something like that, when that seller says, hey, can I get your email address? Don't give them, Daniel at yahoo.com. Try and give them something more like Daniel at ibuyhouses.com. Well, you can get all that available to you at propelio.com. Make sure you go check it out. We do have a 14-day free trial, no credit card required. Just sign up with an email and you have access. So there's absolutely no risk to trying it out. So if you wouldn't mind, go out and check out propelio.com, and I'm going to land the plane. What you got, Grant?
I want to land too, but I saw a troubling comment from Jason. Jason, I'm sorry if I came off as throwing shade on people. He says I seemed really salty today, and I've been talking down about other people. I never named anybody else. I'm just speaking in generalities, right? Because there are jokers, there are real folks, and I'm happy to refer to real folks. So I apologize if that was offensive to anybody in there. I did not mean that at all. It's just that there is a large portion of people who just don't know how to do a bunch of things. So forgive me for please for if I was wrong in my statement of things there. But again, I really enjoy getting this information out. If you guys like how I teach things, creativecashflow.com is where I come from. I do just Monday night Q&As where I answer every question that comes in, has to do with real estate. The only thing we don't do on Monday night Q&As is I don't do a deal analysis of people's deals, because I do that on my creative executives call on the Thursday. So we've got the creative executives and accelerators, which is part of our mastermind. Our mastermind's actually this weekend. It's going to be phenomenal. I'm super looking forward to that. So we've got everything from kind of entry, let's get some information, to some really high-end personal training that goes into there. So check us out at creativecashflow.com. Again, I love being here. Thank you guys for taking time out of your Wednesday morning and watching us, or out of your, if you're watching the replay, whatever, your Thursday night at midnight, whatever that might be. I love having you guys here. This is a lot of fun for us. It's a good opportunity to be able to communicate with you in the community. And we just encourage you to go out and be positive. That's a big thing of mine, is to be positive and help lift the community up. So again, that's why I wanted to mention that thing with Jason. Is if I came off differently, I understand how, and I apologize for that. So, but thank you guys. I love everybody. I love doing this. This is a lot of fun. I appreciate you, Daniel, for having me on today. And I think without further ado, we can just call it a day, and we will see you guys next week on Wednesday at 11 a.m.
Awesome. Well, I do appreciate it, Mr. Grant Kemp, and I'm going to go ahead and head on out. I appreciate you, everybody. I appreciate everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.